And this series is going to be maybe a little bit different than anything that we have done before. And how this came about, I was just praying one morning and I was listening to some music. And I was just very moved and very touched by it. And I felt like God just gave me some ideas about this series. We're going to talk about it. And music is something that is really, really fascinating. And I know that music is a huge part of many of your lives, as it is with mine. And one of the things that's really weird about music is to really master doing music, an instrument or even vocally. It takes a lot of skill. And it's very, very technical to do it. And I always hear people say that some of the best musicians, they also are really good at science and math, and they're just very, can be very analytical. And that's kind of one of the realms of music. But what's so fascinating is, on the other side of that coin, also music is very expressive. And it's very passionate, which almost seems a little bit the opposite of that. But I can remember ever since I was a little kid, music has been just a huge, huge part of my life. And I can remember when I was a little boy going to my grandparents' house, and I was real fascinated because my grandfather would pull out of the closet this really strange oblong-shaped box, and he would pull out of it a violin, and he would take it and he would pull it out, and he would just begin to scratch out a little tune. It was kind of something like this. Heard it before? That song? And I remember he would play that, and I was just so fascinated by how that sounded, that he was able to make a sound out of a few strings in a little box, and it fascinated me so much. And it was like it sounded like a voice, but it was not a voice. That when I got a little bit older, I wanted to learn how to do it. So I did. And then I can remember a few years when I was older than that, going to a parade. And seeing all the floats and the stuff in the parade, and then this huge marching band would come, and it would march down the street. And I can remember that the drums were just so loud, and they were so just powerful that it was almost like I could feel them on the inside of me. It was almost like they were just pounding through me. And as the trumpets and trombones started to play, I mean, it just made you stand up on end, and it moved me. And that affected me so much, and I liked that. I was like, wow, it's powerful. And then I can remember when I was a few years older, when I was a teenager, and I got my first cassette player, boombox, as they called them. And this was before CDs. And so you would take the cassette tapes and you would put them in there. And I remember one Christmas I got a cassette tape of some classical music. And I remember at night putting that in. And at first when I got it, I thought, well, this is going to be kind of boring because it's classical music, and I just kind of had that mindset. And I stuck it in, and I put my headphones on, and I began to listen to it, and I closed my eyes, and I just began to slip away into another world. And just these amazing things would come to my imagination, and I just had this picture in my mind as the music played, and as it went along. And over the years I would do that, and I would find myself just thinking about God. And thinking about his amazingness, and just kind of almost pouring my heart out to him silently there as I would listen to this music. And I didn't realize at the time, but I was worshiping God when I did that. It just kind of happened spontaneously. Music is a powerful thing, and the Bible is not silent about songs. In fact, look at Psalm 98 in verse 1. It says this. It says, "Sing to the Lord a new song, for he has done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have worked salvation for him." And then going down to verse 4, it says, Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Burst into jubilant song with music. Make music to the Lord with the harp and the sound of singing, with the trumpets and the blast of the ram's horn. Shout for joy before the Lord, the King. And certainly the Bible is not silent at all about music. In fact, there was a man by the name of Saul he was so tormented, in fact tormented by evil spirits, that said that he had somebody, David, come in and play music to drive the evil spirits away. It's in the Bible, you can read about it. Also, there was another time where there was a song that was played on the trumpet and with marching, and the power of that actually brought down the walls of Jericho. There was also another instance in the Bible where there were two guys that were in prison for preaching the gospel. And they began to sing a song, and after singing a song, God did a miraculous thing. And in that moment of song, the prison doors came open and an angel led them out of the prison doors. And maybe most powerful of all is we have a whole book in the Bible, Psalms, that I just read from, that basically is a whole book of songs that primarily one person wrote, and it's him pouring his heart out to God. And as you read those, you can't hear the music, but most likely there would have been music in there. In fact, if you read and you go along and you see a word that starts with an S, it says Selah or Selah. What that is that is an indication for a musical pause. So if somebody's reading that and they say Selah, Selah, and they're reading as a word that's kind of actually wrong. It's actually a phrase in the music. Okay? And so David, in these, you can see his heart. You can see when he's fearful. You can see when he's joyful. You can see whenever he's happy, whenever he's sad, whenever he's excited about God, whenever he's not excited about God. And you can just see it coming out of his heart, and it's an amazing, amazing thing. Well, here's the thing that I know to be true, is this, that songs and music are very closely tied to who we are. Now, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions here. In fact, whenever you hear a certain song, it can bring back a flood of memories. In fact, how many of you here have that one certain special song between you and your husband and wife that you remember and you would say, that's our song? Does anybody have that? My wife and I have this whole disc of CDs that's like our music, and whenever we hear one, we're just like, you know, it just brings back all those memories. Or how many of you have a song of comfort? That whenever things are going rough, the first thing you do is get in there, put the CD player in, put the headphones on, and you want to hear that song because it soothes you. How many of you have a comfort song? Man, I've got some of those. How many of you can hear a song and it takes you back to a moment in history like you time travel? It's the freakiest thing. I'll be sometimes going through the radio and I'll hear a song like from the mid-'80s. I'll hear like a Michael Jackson song, like what's that song? Billie Jean. Billie Jean. I hear that song, and I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan. He's kind of weird, but I love his music. And I hear that, and I'm just like, you know, I just want to start moonwalking, you know, and it takes me back to one night in 1983, and I remember sitting out there, and he was doing a concert in Kansas City. I did not go to the concert, but I remember walking out, and there was a skywriting plane that wrote Pepsi in the sky because Pepsi was his sponsor. And music can do that. It's powerful. It can bring you back to that. Or this is something that we can probably all relate to, and I don't know if you guys are like me, but whenever I'm at a sporting event, I know we've got some people I was talking to that are getting ready to go to the Chiefs game, is before the Chiefs game, they will play a song. They're going to play the national anthem. Whenever I hear that at a sporting event, or whenever I hear it on the Olympics when one of our athletes competes and they win, I just want to cry. Why? Because it brings back feelings of who I am, and where I belong, and who I belong to. And we can all kind of relate to that. Music is incredibly powerful. Well, there's one type of song, and that's what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks, is we're going to be talking about different types of songs. And today we're going to talk about a very specific type of song called a theme song. And a theme song is very specific in the fact that within about 30 seconds to maybe a minute, it can describe everything about that particular thing that is a theme of, and we think of it mainly with like television programs. And so what I'm going to do is I've put a little compilation together on the video screen. I'm going to have the guys play this, and just out of curiosity, as you watch this, just see what memories this brings back to you. So check out and listen.